Welcome everybody, Eugene Hughes Motorized. So you keep blowing out your doggone head gasket. Well, the problem's the head gasket, dude. You need to get you a copper head gasket. Bullshit. These are absolutely fine, okay? I don't care what anybody says. Don't badmouth these here. Problem isn't the damn gasket. The problem is either you got you a pit or a chunk in the cylinder head or on the top of the cylinder. Now this one's cut in half, it'll never run. Or you don't know how to properly torque down your doggone cylinder head. And another problem might be after a couple of warm-up cycles, because of the fact that metal will expand and contract as it heats and cools, after a couple of warm-up cycles you didn't go back and properly torque down the hex nuts holding down your cylinder head. So how do you tell if your head gasket's blown? Well, you can pull the cylinder head and take a gander at it, but one telltale sign you might see is you may see here in the area between the cylinder head and the cylinder where the gasket sits, you may see some leakage there. You may be tearing ass down the road and all of a sudden your bike starts sounding like a kazoo because it's blowing out pressure between the sealing surface and the gasket's vibrating. That means you got a bad failure of your head gasket. Your bike will start losing power, or sometimes if it's bad enough it won't even start with a bad head gasket, okay? And let me show you what you can do to resolve these issues to where you're not going to be dicking around with these things here all the time, okay? So your first issue might be that you've got a pit or a chunk here taken out in the sealing area of your cylinder head, or the deck area here on top of the cylinder jug here, okay? You may have a chunk taken out there, and it's pretty easy to feel. I mean, okay, now we've got some scratches on this sealing area here, but that's fine. That's what the gasket's for. The gasket is soft enough, it'll crush down and it'll fill in the areas there to seal it, okay? Now, if you've got an area that you can feel and you rub your fingernail across it, you can feel a gouge on it or something. Well, what you'll need to do is get you a piece of fine sandpaper. This is 320 grit sandpaper. It's plenty fine. Okay, I'll place the cylinder head on it or the cylinder. Okay, and you will move it in a figure-8 motion. I'm not pressing down hard. And you do that just enough to get rid of your gouge. You do that, you're in good shape, okay? Now, let's go on to the torque side of the issue, okay? So, first off, what is torque? Well, we can measure torque with a torque wrench. The proper specification, some people say 15. If you go online and Google torque specifications for 8mm hardware, I think it's about 15 to 20 something, whatever. Since we've got a soft aluminum gasket, like I said, the gasket's not the problem. This is a perfectly good gasket. It's a one-use gasket. But with these here, we want to go 12 foot-pounds of torque. And what are we talking about? What's this torque? Well, it measures scientifically the amount of gazumpas you press down on this here in order to tighten up your fastener. So 1 foot away from the center line of your hex nut, you put a 12-pound weight. That's how much force, how much twisting force it's putting on your fastener hardware. We've got 10, 15, 20, 25, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it says foot-pounds here. So how do we know we're at 10? Well, we want to get to 12, but let me show you how we get to 10 first here. The center line here is the indicator line, and then you've got the numbers here. So once the top lip of this black part here gets right to 10, and that 0 is right there on the line, we are now at 10 foot-pounds of torque. So we're going to go, that would be 11, and that would be 12 foot-pounds of torque. Well, how you would use one of these here, put your socket on it, let's say gasket on it, put the cylinder head down. I do not like the acorn nuts. I don't like them. I don't like them. Most engines come with them. Do yourself a favor, throw away your acorn nut, and at the very least, go with a flat washer first, a lock washer, then a standard 8mm hex nut. And I'm going to show you a way we can upgrade this here. I'll get to that in just a minute. And what you're going to do is you're going to tighten down all of these here. You don't get each one to your final torque value. You want to tighten these up evenly. So what I will do is I will just put the hardware on, run it down by hand like this here all the way around. And then let's say we're shooting for 12 foot-pounds of torque. What I might do is go ahead and get this here, say, to about 8. Then do 8, then do 8, then do 8. Then what we want to do is a crisscross pattern. Then go 10, 10, 10, 10. Tighten it up diagonally. Then do 12, 12, 12, 12. That way we've tightened it up evenly and you'll have a good seal on it. Now, I don't use a torque wrench, okay? I used to work at a computer manufacturing plant and I was in charge of the hand tools and setting the torque on all the assembly tools that they used on the assembly line. And this hand is pretty well calibrated, but I mean the bottom line here is the number isn't so incredibly important. We've got a variance of how tight we can get this here, but the most important thing is that we tighten it up evenly. So I will use my breaker bar here, and if I got all the way here and tightened it up as hard as I could, I would be over tightening it, okay? Remember, I understand you've got muscles, you're the strongest son of a buck ever, and you can get that sucker so incredibly tight it's never going to come loose. Well, no, what you wind up doing is stripping it, and while you're at it, you're going to be crushing the living daylights out of this soft head gasket here. And the copper gaskets are fine, but you know what? You don't need to spend all that money on it. These are just fine, okay? Now, so what I will do, like I said, I will tighten each one up and get it just to where it snugs down a little bit, snug it down a little bit more in a crisscross pattern, and then I go for my final tightening. And basically for me, I will use the breaker bar, I'll put my thumb here, and I don't get it all the way out. Like I said, I can over tighten it there, and I get it to where it's just pretty doggone snug. I could certainly tighten it up more, but I get it to where I got to put a good amount of force on it, and I got the feel, you got the shining, and you want to get them all evenly torqued, and you should be good to go. Now, upgraded hardware, okay? Like I said, your acorn nuts, get rid of those things. They're trash. They can bottom out on the stud, and you've got it tight against the stud, and it's not pushing down against the cylinder head. That's not good. So like I said, let's go with some 8mm hex nuts. Okay, and you really want to be shitting in high cotton, as my daddy'd say. Get you some of these here. These are called spring washers. Let me show you what they are here. Okay, most hardware stores are not going to carry these. You never know. Okay, but this is called a Belleville washer or spring washer, and it's domed. Okay, it's curved up, and then you flip it over, it's dished. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to put it with the dome up. Here, we're not going to use a lock washer. The spring action of this here is what's going to keep it down. We can even torque this down to 8 foot-pounds of torque. 8 or 10 foot-pounds of torque on this here and be fine. And then use the 8mm hex nut. That's going to be a better solution than what comes from the factory. And you'll find you'll have less issues with maintaining the torque on your bike here, okay? Now, if you're interested and you can't find the Belleville washers, I will hooketh thee up. Check the link down below. I'll sell you a head gasket, a base gasket, 5 of the Belleville washers, 5 8mm hex nuts. After 4 or 5 warm-up cycles where you've ridden the bike, you get the engine warmed up, you've let it cool down, you want to go back and check the torque. That doesn't mean you want to tighten the living daylights out of this son of a bitch here. What you want to do is go back and just make sure that each one is evenly torqued up, evenly tight. Just get it to where, okay, I got just a little bit more here, got it a little bit tighter here, go across, Oh yeah, this some bitch here is loose, so you get it to where it's evenly tight as that. Make sure that all four are evenly tight, and you should be good to go. And you'll have a lot less issue with blowing head gaskets. Hopefully I've helped you out where you're not going to be buying a whole bunch of these here. If you like the video, you think I'm helping people, give me a thumbs up. There's a subscribe button. You can ask for notifications. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Take care.